This is The Space Shot, episode 72 for July 25th, 2017. Mars 5, the face on Mars, and some EVA history. Hey everyone, welcome to The Space Shot, your daily space history, pop culture, and news fix. I'm John Molnix. On July 25th, 1972, the Soviet Union launched the Mars 5 spacecraft towards, you guessed it, Mars. The Mars 5 spacecraft was one of the first partially successful missions to the Red Planet. Other missions before it had failed for a variety of reasons, from the rocket failing in Earth orbit to the launch vehicle simply exploding. The Mars 5 mission was brought to an early end due to a leak in the pressurized portion of the spacecraft. It's believed that during the orbital insertion burn, the spacecraft impacted a particle which damaged the pressurized instrument compartment. With time for the mission running out, Soviet scientists worked to get usable scientific data back from the spacecraft. Before contact was lost on February 28, 1974, the spacecraft transmitted 43 high-quality photographs back to Earth. Sadly, the Mars 5 orbiter was unable to perform its duty as a data relay station for the Soviet landers that were to follow the Mars 5 mission. However, these two landers both failed due to a rough landing in the case of Mars 6 and failing to enter Mars's atmosphere with Mars 7. Missions to Mars have had more than their fair share of glitches while either entering orbit or landing on the surface of Mars. Last year, in October, the European Space Agency and Roscosmos lost the Schiaparelli lander due to an error in the landing sequence, which caused Schiaparelli to think it had touched down when, in reality, it was still a few miles above the surface. Since we're on the subject of Mars, the famous Face on Mars photograph was taken by the Viking 1 orbiter on this day in 1976. The picture wasn't seen by the public until about a week later. I'm going to link to a NASA article called Unmasking the Face on Mars. It's worth checking out, especially to see the pictures that were taken by subsequent Mars missions that show the rock formation isn't really a face at all. I think the funniest part of the whole Face on Mars story is that in the press release for the picture, JPL stated that, quote, "This picture is one of many taken in the northern latitudes of Mars by the Viking 1 orbiter in search of the landing site for Viking 2. The picture shows eroded mesa-like landforms. The huge rock formation in the center, which resembles a human head, is formed by shadows giving the illusion of eyes, nose, and a mouth. The feature is 1.5 kilometers or 1 mile across, with the sun angle at approximately 20 degrees. The picture was taken on July 25th from a range of 1,873 kilometers or 1,162 miles. Viking 2 will arrive in Mars orbit next Saturday, August 7th, with a landing scheduled for early September. Now, let's head back to Earth. On July 25th, 1984, Svetlana Savitskaya became the first woman to perform a spacewalk. The Soyuz T-12 mission launched on July 17th, and the crew spent 11 days at the Salyut 7 space station. Before her historic spacewalk, Savitskaya flew on the Soyuz T-7 mission, making her the first woman in space since Valentina Tereshkova flew in 1963. Savitskaya's EVA, or extravehicular activity, was also used as an opportunity to test a hand tool that allowed cosmonauts to weld, cut, and solder metal in space. And from what I could find, this was the first time that this type of tool had been used in space. If you have ideas for the show, reach out to me. You can find me just about anywhere at John Molnix. I'd love to chat. Share this episode with your friends and family or anyone that enjoys podcasts, and let me know what you think of the show by leaving a rating or review in iTunes. It takes just a minute to do that, and it makes a huge difference by helping even more people find the show. I appreciate all of you that have subscribed. Thank you very much for doing that. Tomorrow, we lift off with Apollo 15. I'm John Molnix, and I'll catch you on the flip side.